Welcome to the Acres of Diamonds podcast with Bob Larsen, a nationally recognized expert in the analysis of complex life insurance structures. In the Acres of Diamonds podcast, Bob talks about the flip side of owning a life insurance policy that your client has outgrown or that has underperformed. We share insight and strategies to help advisors maximize the effectiveness and value of their clients' life insurance policies.
Hello and welcome to Acres of Diamonds with Bob Larsen from the Settlement Masters. Today we're going to be talking about something near and dear to my heart, which is a little bit about client service and prospecting and really what it means to incorporate settlements into somebody's practice. Good morning, Bob. How are you?
Good morning, Eric. I'm warmer than you are.
I know. I would hope so. It is a chilly, chilly day here, but it's beautiful out, sunny and blue skies. Makes me want to go for a walk in a very, very big coat. Okay, so today I know that we're talking a lot about, incorporating settlements into prospecting and into client service. And I've worked with advisors for years, and their client service is one of the things that they really want to focus on because that really helps establish relationships. But most advisors are really working on helping people retire and plan for retirement. So I want you to answer the question, why would they integrate talking about life settlements into their practice if they're talking to people that are pre-retired and just retired?
Well, to emphasize your point, 98% of all the people in the insurance business have not seen their clients in the last 5 years or talked to them. So there's an immense amount of need for people to have client meetings, reviews, knowing what their policies are doing. But the opportunity is the biggest that I've ever seen it in the decades of the business I have been in. The wealthy senior market has never been better. And it's better because seniors at the rate of 10,000 a day are turning 65, and they're struggling with this retirement question. How much and when? They need more money. I mean, frankly, every senior is trying to figure out, I shouldn't say every, over 90% of the seniors that are trying to retire are trying to figure out what they're going to need for retirement and how they're going to offset inflation. And they're concerned about medical expenses and what could happen if I had to go into the hospital. What would happen to my retirement account? All of those things are maybe questions that people don't verbalize or discuss with their friends and family because they don't want them to know what's going on with them. So we know that that's true because we hear it all the time. Now, many of these people were in the 90s and the 80s and 90s are currently 80 and 90 years old. And they oftentimes have life insurance policies. And I'm speaking right now to the RIAs and the people in the business that do good client service because life insurance policies have been attacked, and life insurance policies that have been attacked are tripling their premiums. It's 13 carriers have doubled and tripled the premiums of these people in the 80s and 90s. And policies that are going to be dropped can be converted into annuities. They can be converted into single premium long-term care. Advisors know that, but they can even be sold to the institutional markets to create tremendous amounts of additional money to do all the things that we just discussed. And it's relatively still unknown, but see a senior advisor that's talking to clients in the 50s and 60s that are 50 and 60-year-old. They have parents, they have grandparents that have a good bulk of them bought life insurance to protect their estate or just to provide for their family. And they bought them in the 80s and 90s. And believe me, 1 in 3 policies that we see have been impacted by this horrible cost of insurance increase. So I highly recommend that advisors listen to this. Stay tuned. Be aware of the fact that this is happening, and a policy review can oftentimes open up a banquet of opportunities for the senior and for you.
Yeah. Bob, something that has really, really touched my life personally is like a long-term care situation. And you spoke about it before, but I don't think people realize how important long-term care coverage is. And for a lot of people, they didn't purchase long-term care insurance when they were younger, and they can't afford to just buy the insurance now with the budget that they're on. But like you said, converting these policies or doing a settlement can provide that, because just looking up some statistics, someone who's turning 65 today has almost a 70% chance of needing long-term care services. And if they didn't plan for it 20 years ago, there's not a whole lot of answers now unless you can come up with a sum of money or something that can fund that. And that's where I think settlements really can play a huge part in these folks' lives. Are you seeing that in the industry itself?
Yeah, and I beg the seniors that may be listening to this also to look at have your life insurance reviewed by a professional, because the opportunity for additional funds to buy additional retirement income or to buy long-term care is there. We had a contract just recently. It was a variable contract, and the contract was upside down due to the market changes, and it had not been monitored for over 5 years. And the client was going to cash it in. The cash value was like $2,500. This was a $2.5 million policy. The mortality costs were more than the cash value. But we caught it soon enough to be able to convert this in to over $1 million. Now, you tell me, if you had a mother or father or grandfather that this was true, and they had a policy and they were going to drop it, and you had this information that there's a possibility that they could qualify for a institutional market sale, would you tell them? Would you talk to them? Yeah, a lot of times broker dealers are antiquated in their thinking relative to settlements. They don't understand a compliant settlement, which I'll talk about later. But the idea of a settlement is a fiduciary responsibility right now. There are laws going into place that will enforce this, and people are going to be sad that they didn't pay attention.
Yeah, if I had that situation in my life where it was one of my parents, I would be at your door. I wouldn't be calling you. I mean, I want you to give out the phone number later in the podcast, but I would be at your door banging on the door. Bob, hey, take a look at this. Tell me what can be done here. Because, it's crazy. I was talking to one of my clients in Boston earlier this week, and they said that some of the long-term care costs are between $10,000 and $15,000 a month.
Yes,
and, when you're talking getting a family $1 million for a policy that's going to be defunct or defunded, or they're going to have to drop, that $1 million goes a really, really long way to make sure that they're cared for. So
change their life.
Yeah, absolutely does.
It changed these people's lives.
So why don't most people know about the benefits of selling their policy, you think?
Well, it's an opportunity window that it has not come into its own relative to the information, but it is happening. Like I said, I'm flying to Austin on Monday, and I'm going to be there to talk about the advertising campaigns that are going out on television media. I mean, there is a firm right now that is doing settlement advertising, and it's bringing about a lot of people's awareness on the opportunity of settlement. But the opportunity window is incredibly there. I mean, people that are in the advisory business need to understand that 10,000 people a day are turning 65. And this senior market is exploding. Last year, 500,000 seniors dropped their policy, their life insurance policy, or cashed it in. 500,000. And this is going to happen for the next 11 years, so say the Lisa and several of the statistical firms. And only one out of 1,500 that dropped their contract had any information about selling their policy.
Oh, that's terrible.
They did not know that they could have got 3 to 10 times the cash value in that policy by doing a compliant institutional settlement.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense for a professional that has a fiduciary responsibility to not open up a discussion with keeping their financial portfolio safe. And life insurance is a financial portfolio. Yeah, I can't tell you how grateful people are that have this evaluation.
Yeah.
They express gratitude like I've never experienced before. And it's just a matter of doing an analytic comparison between what the policy value is to the family compared to what the senior institutional market is. It's a mathematical decision for them. But how grateful, the expression of gratitude that we get when we do it our way and we make sure that the senior is protected and informed, how much gratitude is expressed to us relative to those issues. And why it's not booming in the market, why it's because the advisor community today has still not woken up to the fact that this is a fiduciary responsibility. It's a great opportunity for them. And it's something that as time has come and they're going to see it. And I'd suggest that you get on the bandwagon before you're chasing the train, the caboose, because it's going to happen.
Remind us again, how much does it cost for an advisor to come to you and say, hey, look, I'd like you to look at this case that I'm thinking might qualify for this. How much does that cost them to do?
Well, that's an interesting question, because when someone comes to us, we tell them we are going to request that you be our partner and that we will do all the work and that we will make sure that you are safe. And I'll tell you about that in a little bit. But it costs them nothing to do that. And we do all of the analytic work, the mathematical comparison between keeping and selling. We do all the compliance work, and we do much, much more, which I'll tell you about. So no other broker in the industry reaches the level that we do in terms of advisory services. And Lloyd's of London has told us that by insuring us and those advisors that do business with us. And we are the only one in the country, I've been told, that they will insure.
Yeah. And I asked that question, Bob, really because I already knew the answer, but I asked it because I needed advisors to know it. What's going to cost you is a little bit of time. And if you're not willing to spend that time for your clients, then find another business. I would just be honest with you, because it's so important. That's your fiduciary responsibility. And I know that you want to grow those relationships, especially with the next generation as well. The kids are watching, right? If you're going to treat their parents well and help them in these situations, you're going to have that family for life because they're going to trust you as their trusted advisor. I think that's so important. And I don't want to hijack this here, Bob. So let's get back on topic. You spoke earlier about the United States in general and also different states having different regulations. What kind of regulations exist around life settlements currently?
Well, I just want to do a PS on the previous question because it's really important that people understand that we understand that most people think of settlements as being weird. They still don't have a clear understanding that the regulations in the industry have almost equaled that of any other industry regulations in the financial community. It's done. If you're working with a highly qualified licensed broker, you'll be very protected. Settlements have been regulated, and I'm glad that they have. They haven't gone too far. 43 states right now have very distinct life settlement regulations. 8 states have mandated so far in the last year that life insurance companies notify every senior who's cashing in or lapsing a life insurance policy that they consider a settlement.
Wow.
And the state of Georgia just passed a legislation that if a carrier penalizes an advisor, as they were doing before, for talking or conducting life settlements to a client, the insurance company gets heavily fined. So, you know, there's something that every fiduciary, every advisor needs to know about. That's the Anti-Discrimination Acts against seniors. It is anything that you're doing or not doing for seniors is highly sensitive in reference to regulations. Not telling a senior about life settlement is becoming a fiduciary problem. And if you'll call me, I'll send you information regarding this issue because it's something that every advisor needs to know. You know, you are concerned about your liability, your E&O, all the things, even if you're not doing settlements, if you're a RIA and you're giving investment advice and you have, many of them have outside wholesalers come in and sell the life insurance, they don't service the life insurance, the wholesalers, they just sell and they're gone. So my advice to every investment manager, whether you're with one of the major houses or you're in a boutique firm, is call us and let us inform you of the fiduciary laws and the fiduciary problem and how to overcome it and turn it into an opportunity. And I'll send you the information free of charge. I'm not going to, we're here to help. I've been in the business a long time. There's no hustle. This is not a sale. Settlements is not a sale. It's a highly important service that you have to learn to conduct with seniors. Call me at 877-927-7243, 877-927-7243, and I'll send you information that will give you a real insight on the fiduciary responsibility.
All right, Bob, the things that we've spoken about today and things you've spoken on past podcasts are vitally important. They're easy to understand for advisors. They know what their responsibility is. You're introducing them to an entire marketplace that they haven't been in before. And so to me, their decision is easy at this point because the call is free. The information is free. Like you said, you'd send them investigating their situation. They get education and things of which I want you to talk about here in just a minute. But really, when an advisor is saying, you know what, okay, I've heard this from Bob before. I'm hearing it again. It's vitally important. I want to take that first step. I want to get involved. Tell them again what the benefits are. Just give me a review of that, would you?
Well, yeah. And I'd just like to say prior to that you always have you or someone like our firm do analytic policy reviews for seniors. And I have started my career as a team player. I've always been a team player. I've always built a faculty of experts around me that I could pull in that have great loyalty and that are honest and that do really good work. And I encourage you to find a settlement broker who will teach you how to queue them up and be part of your team. Now, they have to give you a non-compete, as we do, meaning that they would never contact your client in the event that you break up or you have a disagreement, that they give you additional E&O on settlements so that you're covered, so that they keep you informed. Oftentimes people will work on a joint basis and they give the case to someone that will do the work and they don't hear about it. It's frustrating as hell, pardon the expression. But you need somebody that keeps you informed weekly and someone that will aggregate a legal compliance book that's been legally tested, that when you get through, it's got all the sign-offs from all the clients and all the people involved, and make sure that everybody signs off so that they understand the benefit of selling their contract or keeping their contract, their policy, whichever would be better for their family. Find someone that will do that and pay you the majority of the compensation that comes from the settlement transaction. That's the kind of professional licensed broker that you need to do. You don't want to work directly with the provider because they're only interested in selling and you get all the liability and you get all the work. And that costs money and it's a heck of a risk. But if you work with a professional broker that is licensed and qualified, that's got life insurance experience. I've got 40 years of high-level life insurance experience. And you need to find somebody that understands the investment of life insurance and understands why people buy and understands product. And we do. So we give you E&O, non-compete. We have a legally tested compliance report, and you get the majority of the pay and compensation. And that's the fastest, safest way to enter this market and make it part of your normal process.
That's fantastic, Bob. We've talked about it before. I love hearing it again because you offer so much. And I appreciate you reiterating that today. For every advisor that's even contemplating this, please reach out. Again, it's just going to cost you a little bit of time, and it'll really open your eyes to what the opportunities are out there. Bob, do you have any other closing thoughts that you can give us on this?
Yeah, if you want more wealthy clients, and I think that if you're listening, you do.
I think it's a good thing.
If you want more referrals, if you want more revenue, you call us and we'll equip you to make it big in this emerging market that's not going to go away. And I tell you, our phone number again is 877-927-7243. Call me, 877-927-7243, and we will help you, not sell you. We will make sure that you understand, and I think you'll be glad you did.
Again, advisors that are listening to this, Bob has talked on previous podcasts about how to get into the marketplace and how to find folks that qualify for this. But more importantly, he's said on multiple podcasts, these people already exist in your book of business, whether that's current clients or your current clients' parents that are facing this situation, they're there. And Bob and his team can help you recognize that. So, Bob, thank you so much for your time today. What other thing can you say to close us out? I know you know what I want.
Yeah, I always, the thing that I say to myself whenever I get down or turned off, and I just say, on the plains of hesitation, bleak the bones of countless millions that on the dawn of victory sat down to wait and think about it. And there the idea, and they died in the business. So don't let it happen. Make a commitment to at least call me. I'm a good guy. I'm a nice guy. And I will help you. 877-927-7243.
As a procrastinator at heart, I love that quote. I appreciate hearing it from you, Bob. So thank you again. And thank you all for listening to the Acres of Diamonds podcast with Bob Larsen. If you have not subscribed to the podcast yet, please click the subscribe now button below. This way, when Bob comes out with a new podcast, it'll show up directly on your listening device. This makes it much easier to share these podcasts with your friends, family, and your coworkers. Thank you again for listening today. For everyone at the Settlement Masters, this is Eric Johnson reminding you to live your best day every day. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Acres of Diamonds podcast. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.